welcome to the deep dive. So here's a thought to start us off. What if your deepest beliefs, the ones you hold inside, actually held the key to transforming conditions, once considered, well, completely impossible? We're about to jump into some sources that explore truly astonishing stories of self-healing, stuff that really challenges, what we think we know about the body.
Right. And our mission here really is to unpack these claims. We're drawing a lot from an interview with Dr. Joe Dispenza, trying to understand how these profound inner shifts are actually said to manifest as real physical changes.
It's a fascinating idea. So let's get into what the source actually says here. The sheer range of conditions is pretty remarkable.
It really is.
They talk about complete reversal or, significant improvement in things like stage 4 cancers that had metastasized, like spread everywhere, organs, tissues, bones. And they say it's been observed many times.
Yeah, not just fluke occurrences.
Exactly. And it's not just cancer. They mention recoveries from ALS, lupus, MS, Parkinson's, even spinal cord injuries, people getting sight back or hearing. It's quite a list.
And then there's the one claim that even the source admits is incredibly hard to accept, but they state very clearly they have medical evidence for it.
Okay.
A woman who had her thyroid surgically removed, the whole thing gone.
Right.
And then she apparently grew a new thyroid back.
Wait, grew it back after it was removed?
That's what the source claims. With medical evidence to back it up, it just completely pushes the limits of what we think is biologically possible, doesn't it?
Wow. That's mind-bending. Okay, so with accounts like that, these incredible stories, how does this even begin to happen? Is it just about thinking positively or something else going on?
Well, the source explains it's not simply like doing the work to heal. The phrase they use is doing the work to change.
Change, okay.
Yeah, it involves this really uncompromising commitment, showing up for yourself every single day, staying conscious of your unconscious self.
What does that mean exactly? Staying conscious of the unconscious.
It means becoming aware of those deep-seated patterns, the automatic thoughts, beliefs, emotional reactions that usually just run in the background without you noticing, and then actively reprogramming them.
Reprogramming? Like how?
The source talks about things like structured meditation, visualization, really focused intention. The idea is to consciously shift those internal patterns. And this inner transformation, this fundamental change inside, is believed to be what actually drives the biological shifts.
Okay, that makes a bit more sense. And this leads to that analogy they use, right? The 4-minute mile idea applied to healing.
Exactly. The 4-minute mile phenomenon.
Tell us about that.
Well, think about it. For ages, everyone knew running a mile in under 4 minutes was impossible until Roger Bannister did it.
Right. Then suddenly others started doing it too.
Precisely. So the source applies this idea here. When someone gets up on stage, maybe at one of these events, in front of thousands of people, and shares their story of healing some chronic condition, it shatters that collective belief that it's impossible. It's like seeing Bannister break the record. It expands what everyone else in that room believes is possible for themselves. It breaks through that collective consciousness.
That's powerful. So seeing is believing, and believing opens the door.
That seems to be the idea. And there's a really specific, pretty stunning example from a recent week-long event in Denver.
Okay, what happened?
Apparently, 6 people stood up from wheelchairs by the end of that week.
6 people?
Yeah. And one story they highlighted was an NFL player with MS. He actually showed up thinking it was some kind of yoga retreat, totally unprepared for what it was.
Seriously?
Yeah. And through the process, he had this profound realization. His words were, "I never loved myself." That realization, that moment, sparked what the source calls an act of change.
An act of change.
And they claim this act literally upregulated genes in different ways, sort of switched on helpful genes and suppressed the genes for MS graft, turned off the disease instructions, basically.
In the result.
He was walking by the end of the event, and his transformation, they said, became the magic number 1, like the first domino. It apparently sparked similar breakthroughs for others there.
That is absolutely incredible. It sounds almost unbelievable, especially things like the thyroid regrowing.
Yeah.
You have to wonder how they address the skepticism, right? Because that flies in the face of so much conventional understanding.
It really does.
It just highlights this potentially massive power of the mind-body connection that maybe we underestimate.
Definitely. And the source seems to counter skepticism by pointing to the consistency of the experiences, the volume of cases, and the medical evidence they gather. They're suggesting our capacity for self-repair, given the right internal shift, might be far greater than we currently accept.
Mm.
So it leaves you with a pretty big question, doesn't it? If changing ourselves on this deep level can lead to such profound biological shifts, well, what might be the true, untapped potential of our belief and conscious effort in other parts of our lives, even beyond physical healing? Something to think about.
Mm.